Oh, they've done it! Steven Terodde, an instant hero! Can you believe this? Plenty attacking! No! The comeback is complete! A stunning second half from Schalke!
Blau und weiß sein Leben lang. Herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. I'm your host, Richard Carmen. Joining me as always, welcome back, my friend, Jack Mangan. Jack, how are we doing, man?
Doing all right. Yeah, a little hiatus for me, partially because of an inability to catch some of the live streams. We've been off ESPN Plus, and also I've been pretty busy recently moving house and whatnot. Have a nice, largely blank wall behind me that hopefully I'll be making a little bit more aesthetically pleasing going forward for all you tuning in. But yeah, good to be back with you, my friend. Just disappointing that not good things to talk about so far. Nothing exciting in my absence from the Schalke perspective, and struggling here early in the campaign.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We'll definitely talk about that. Talk about an emergency signing a center back apparently after the game, and then the game ahead against Wiesbaden before the break. It's funny because usually I'm the one with the purple background and you got the blue background. We kind of switch the roles today, but it's all good. It's all good. The game not ideal for us. Let's get right into it. I don't have any of the graphics ready because that's more because I was just upset about how the team performed more than anything. I'm not going to deal with her today. But we were the home team. And it's funny because we kind of laid out in the last podcast, watching some of the Holstein Kiel so far this season, how it probably would come out. And so I kind of knew what the team was going to come out like and how we should be defending them or how we should attack them. Apparently, Schalke doesn't watch our podcast because they would have figured it out. Anyway, let's get into the lineups. Starting 11, fairly standard for us at this point. For the most, some pieces in and out, switching Mueller in the back with Matriciani on the right, with Baumgartel, Kaminski in the middle, and Oyon back into the lineup. Midfield three of Schallenberg, Seguin, and Latza. Latza inserted over Tempelman. Tempelman, who got a red card recently, hasn't been performing that well. The front three would be different, though. Terodde, obviously at top, right? But he was flanked by Ouedraogo and Kiki Top. The two youngsters getting inserted into the lineup here. And more importantly, Kiki Top, some guy who obviously has been doing very well for the U23s. He embarrassed the senior team with 3 goals against them in a friendly. But see him up top and then seeing Ouedraogo kind of out of position playing up top alongside Terodde as well. Thoughts on the starting 11 and in particular the two youngsters?
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was like a 4-3-3 shape or more of like a 4-2-3-1 with like Top was playing like a cam initially. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
With like
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I think interesting to see Top obviously get a start. A player that you've mentioned on this podcast a number of times over the past year or so in terms of, a lot of excitement about him coming through and potentially starting to get senior team looks. I think it's unfortunate the way the game ultimately played out because I thought he had a couple nice moments early on and he was ultimately, and we'll get to this, but he was ultimately sacrificed early in the first half and through no fault of his own, just for, I think, tactical reasons at that point. But Ouedraogo kind of a fixture on the side, which is great to see. Partnering somebody with Schallenberg, so he's not kind of a lone sixth, something that's been talked about a lot recently as well. So he has some assistance there. So you see Donny Latza played it alongside him. Obviously, Donny Latza is going to have some ball skills potentially, and obviously have a lot of experience in terms of reading the game. So I don't know, man. It's for me, it's the back line of like Kaminski, and no disrespect to like Matriciani, right? But like Kaminski, Matriciani, and Baumgartel is just like. It's such a downgrade when you have Morris Jens or whoever else you're talking about. It's a big difference from last season, and as we've said before too, it's a big difference from when we were here last time when we had like Itakura in the second division. There's a big quality gap, I think, and that's hopefully being addressed in the signing that you mentioned. But I think a lot of Schalke fans maybe not ultimately convinced.
Yeah, 100%. And the team we were going against, Holstein Kiel. Their starting 11 was Wiener in goal with Schultz, Eras, and Kleine Beckel in the back with Porath, Sander, Ivizic, Roth, and Steven Skripski, a former player of ours. So he's going to have a big game against us. And then up top, they had Pichler and Machino. Machino, who's been having a good season so far as well. Obviously, Steve Skripski is going to be the one we're going to pay attention to. One of the leading goal scorers in this Fight Day Liga last season. And as it always happens with us, if it's a former Schalke player playing against us, he's going to do well. So that was my big worry going into this game. I mean, I'm not going to imagine that either of us are going to know any other Holstein Kiel players. But was he the guy you were focusing on, or even worried about Skripski, coming to this game?
No, I mean, yeah, we always make that joke, obviously, about that being sort of a law of the universe that, our former players come back against Lewis Holtby in this game as well.
Yes,
Don't
good call.
forget, which is even a greater throwback than that. Skripski had his moment at one point and did not convert. So at least there's that. It's clearly not a law of the universe, although it is close to it and almost functionally one. Yeah, Pickler and Machino, I think, were both very good in this game. The left back, the hyphenated left back, I forget his name off the top of my head. I thought we had a decent game. Overall, I think slightly better performances from them. And once again, I feel like there's teams that are slightly more cohesive at this point in the season than we are. Especially when there's unavailability through red cards or other injuries and stuff, and kind of a rotating cast of characters. So I'm kind of waiting for us to settle into a firmer sense of the starting 11.
Yeah.
Feel about it.
It's interesting. And we said, like I said, last podcast kind of broke down how we expected this game to go. Some of the areas we thought that we could attack them would be they're prone to defensive giveaways. Their goalie has to be tested because he's given up some blunder of goals this year, very Schwoloff-like so far. Their center backs can be attacked. We saw how Glatzel kind of played our center backs. Their center backs play similarly the same way. If you get a center forward, kind of like a Terodde who gets in the middle of them, it can cause confusion back there. The poor covering the trailing runners and the poor covering the back doors. And I thought where they were going to get us, where they were going to pounce on our defensive mistakes, check. Skripski, smooth finisher, didn't finish the game, didn't get any smooth finishes, but was impactful in terms of causing a red card, right? Have deep throw-ins, which didn't really come into play in this game, and look for crosses that lead to a late runner. And you saw a couple times already this year where number 18, their left back or left winger, crosses from the left side, back door on the ground, and finds that trail runner. And I thought those are areas that Schalke were going to be vulnerable against. And sure enough, the 2 goals kind of came that way. First in the 15th minute or whatever, they had a nice breakdown where the ball comes over the top, goalie clears it for Kiel. We did poor in marking it, kind of bounces, and we had a high line. They just quickly make a 1-2 pass, go on a break, hits off the post, and nothing Muller could do there, and went right to the Kiel player. And that's that happens. But I think the defending leading up to that counterattack was pathetic. I mean, what were your thoughts on that goal? That fluky off the post, obviously, but it was a breakdown defensively, I thought, going into it.
I mean, yeah, center backs were around midfield at the time. Mitriciani, who was playing right back, was pinched very narrow as well. So we were kind of on one side of the field, so that when that ball ultimately got squirted out, there was no one to kind of cover that side of the pitch, really, and they had kind of a free run into the final third. I mean, look, it's a good shot. It could have gone in. I don't want to be overly harsh. I think I'm a little bit disappointed in Kaminsky on the first goal, just because it appeared as though he was, kind of shoulder checking and trying to stay in front of his man on that counterattack for the entirety of the counterattack until the shot was taken. And when the shot was taken, he kind of held up. His man drifted off of him. The ball deflects right to his man, and it's a tap-in goal. And, I mean, once again, I'm not trying to be overly harsh, but it's like you literally made the effort to stay with your man for that entire run on the back end. Do it for like 2 more steps until the ball is either in the back of the net or out of play. And if you do that, you might be in a position to actually disrupt it, and he just kind of lets it go in. So to me, it's like you got to play to the whistle. It's that kind of stuff. It's basics. It's a bad giveaway to be in that position, but it's even at that point after the shot's taken, it's not necessarily a goal that has to happen given the positions of some of the players. And I think, we're just maybe not as locked in as we need to be at the moment.
Yeah, and I thought it was an okay start for us leading up to that goal.
I agree, by the way, yeah.
Top and Drago were effective, I thought. But yeah, it was just they got that goal, and you're like, man, bad luck right there. And then 10 minutes later, they almost have the identical goal just on the other side, hit off the other post, goes right back to Pichler again. He gets a tap in.
And similar thing. Once the shot is taken, both of those players immediately stop like tracking whoever they're running, and it's like no one learns from what happened 10 minutes earlier. To me, that's just like. I don't know if it's a coaching thing or a mental thing, but we just do not seem to all be on the same page at the moment and like really sharp and focused. I don't know if the dressing room's bad. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. We're not locked in as we should be, and we're giving up cheap moments like that too often. And you could argue, hey, it's a freak thing for that to almost happen the same way twice. Like, what are the chances of that? But there's some player behavior involved in that.
100%. And I think, again, like the first goal, even though that was taken away, high line by the defense, they made a quick 1-2 passes and get on this counterattack and have this great opportunity. And so, it's, again, part of that is the coaching. Again, is that they were trying to play this high line, but it's super high risky. And when your defenders aren't that great, it's probably not the defense you want to be playing. If it was 2 years ago when we had Itakura and Chow back there, okay, we're talking. But
yeah, a little bit range, you can cover a little bit more ground. Yeah, it certainly seemed like Holstein Kiel were looking to take advantage of that from the beginning. They were playing fairly direct, kind of run football, not necessarily like long balls over the top, but they were playing, balls on the ground with pace at the center backs and basically saying, hey, we don't think that, Baumgartel and Kaminsky have the athleticism to contend with us if we make you run the entire time. And I think they were largely proven right in this. And this is one of the concerns, once again, about, can you rely on Kaminsky as one of your two guys for like the entirety of the season? He has qualities on the ball. He's starting to get, I think, increasingly more exposed on the defensive end of things. And I'm concerned about it long term.
Yeah, I agree about that for sure. And it seemed like they were coming at us in waves, and it's almost like every 10 minutes something would happen. I mean, Mueller had another decent game, had some big saves in this game. But 10 minutes after that play, another breakdown defense again. And all of a sudden, Skripski goes on this breakaway, and Schallenberg's trying to run him down. And at first I saw it, I'm like, that's a cheap red to give. They're going to give me the red. And sure enough, gave him the red card. You look at the replay, it's clear as day. He's the last guy. It's a foul. He's a soft maybe, but he's the last guy. You can't do that, and he gets a red in the 39th minute. So we're already losing the game. We're already looking bad up to that point. Add a red card and a man down. I'm like, shoot, here we go.
Yeah, I don't know why people do that, in my opinion. I mean, maybe there's data on this to show that like you have a better outcome in terms of like the points you get from the match if you do that rather than letting the guy take the shot in those situations where there's a clear 1v1.
As long as you're not Schalke.
So once again, but I'm saying like maybe there's something I don't understand about that. I'm fully willing to admit that I could be just not informed. But to me, it's like if you aren't going to attempt an actual tackle at that point, let your goalkeeper, particularly Mueller, who's been phenomenal this season, like one of our most important players early on, give him a chance to make something happen as opposed to immediately going down a man. We don't have a great squad at the moment. The last thing we want to do is make it even harder for them that early in the game. Yeah, I think it was just a poor play from Schallenberg and a bad decision. And it's like, once again, it's not even that he's trying to go to ground to like, hey, maybe I can win this. If he was even actually making an attempt to win the ball and then got a red card because he messed it up, that would at least be one thing. It's the fact that he just one hand shoves him to the ground. Yeah. And, to me, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Now we're going to lose Schallenberg for 2 games. I mean, you can argue how effective you think he's been early in the season and whether or not whatever. But, even so, somebody who's getting a lot of minutes and now he's going to be unavailable. We had far discipline issues that early in the season that are not helping us at all.
Red card in every game so far. Not all of them ours, but there's been a red card in every game, but in lots of discipline issues. And again, on that play, a high line, Kaminsky left high and dry on the counterattack, and he's just like, as soon as the ball got played over top, he's like, oh shit. And Schallenberg had tried to get him. So it's not all Schallenberg's fault, but he's put in a poor spot. And then again, right before halftime, I think it was Skripski again, got another opportunity behind the defense.
No, so that's the one, and that's the thing. That's the one he should have scored for sure.
He should have. Mueller, huge save, but yeah. Right. Yeah.
Poor finish. You could tell that Skripski was thinking about it and was thinking about it a little bit too much. But that's the thing. But with the previous play, that was a one-on-one with Skripski, and Mueller came up and made a save. Like maybe don't get the red card and give your goalkeeper a chance to make something happen. Mueller's an imposing figure back there and has been doing really well. Yeah,
I mean, everyone's got to see what kind of saves he's made this year so far, and so I'm sure if you're an attacker in 1-on-1 against him, you start thinking a little bit more, right? Yeah, it's hard not to. So, but down 1-0 at halftime, but down a man. I wasn't too confident, knowing Schalke all these years, being down, being up a man or down a man, that we would do well. Like usually, some teams when they go down a man, and they play more compact, they play better. Not necessarily the case with Schalke. So I wasn't too confident going at halftime. Statistics were obviously all lopsided because of the red card. How confident were you at halftime that we could pull some kind of result out of this?
Not super confident. I don't think we started that poorly. I think we were poor defensively all game long.
Yeah.
Particularly in those transition moments. But I don't think that we were terrible going forward in the first half. We just kind of got handicapped once we ultimately went down a man. And then at that point, it felt like at best kind of a recovery job to try to salvage something rather than really anything we could really go on and win. Likely obviously to lose by more. I guess, I mean, like, how much better would you feel if it was like Ouedraogo opposite like Bolter? Like if we still had like Amari, you know what I mean? It's just like we have Terodde up top who, like, whatever. If he has service in the second division, he might be able to do well, but like it's just not happening. Then you have this bright young spot in Ouedraogo who had played great, I think, in the first and second half.
Yeah.
You could maybe some decision-making issues at the final end of these things, but like easily the brightest player on the pitch for us. Yes. And opposite him in the first half, we had like Seguin or whatever. It's just like, it's not enough. And Kazuki is still kind of coming back from his thing. Didn't look good in his cameo. Like, I don't know, man. I think we need some help, and we need it on both ends of the pitch at the moment. And our leadership, from what the quotes that we're seeing, right, are kind of suggesting that they're maybe not as convinced. Maybe it's because they don't think they can afford it or make it happen, and so they're just trying to pretend and put a positive spin. They don't need it. But I think the fans and sort of the leadership are not in the same place in the moment in terms of the evaluation of the squad.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And before halftime, right after that red card, someone had to be sacrificed. Kiki Top had to be sacrificed. Yeah, you mentioned Ouedraogo played probably the one outside of Mueller, probably the bright star of the team. Certainly offensively, he was like going after guys one-on-one. It was nice, but Kiki Top had some nice things too as well. Obviously, it's hard in a situation where the other team has a lot of the possession, but he was sacrificed for Templeman. I understand that one to an extent. And then at halftime, go ahead.
No, the thing is, I have not liked Templeman. I don't know people are going to disagree with me in this. I haven't really liked him in almost any game I've seen him in. I've not been a huge fan of him so far. And so I understand why you make that move. Obviously, you go down a man, you want to bring in a more defensive midfielder or somebody, whatever. But I think Keke Top at that point was actually providing something in the game.
He was backtracking too.
Yeah, and so I just it felt I don't know. Part of me would have liked to give him maybe until the 50th minute, whatever else. I know it's like an easy thing to say in hindsight, and it's obviously a much smarter decision, probably from a coaching perspective, to try to bring in some stability to the team. But I mean, at that point, like, you're off to such a bad start in this season, and now you're down a man. Just like leave your firepower on and see what happens. See if you can steal something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
You got to lose anyway. So I was to go out swinging, right? And actually, I mean, I agree with you. So I disagree on the Templeman thing, because I think, well, depends how you look Templeman. If you're looking at Templeman as a offensive, someone who can provide with offense, he's not that guy. He's not. He's more of a Schallenberg type in my mind. Meaning, but that's not what they play him in that position. So the position we put him in is not beneficial to him nor our team necessarily, unless we're playing a team like a Hamburg, where he can kind of cancel some of those guys out defensively, because we are going to be on the back burner. So it's a situational thing. But I agree. I mean, I would have rather see Kiki Top in there, because why not swing for the fences? If you're gonna, we've seen many teams in the Zweite Liga and the Bundesliga, when they're down a guy, they stay on the attack. Hell, you saw Liverpool this weekend down a guy, down 1-0. They scored 2 goals and won the game against a good Newcastle team. So why don't you keep attacking? Anything can happen. You get a turnover, you get a counterattack. Ouedraogo and Top, you can go after that defense. The defense is not that great for Kiel. So that substitution happened, and then at halftime, I was perplexed about the Seguin out for Cabadilla. I got it. That's an offensive substitution, slightly, I guess. He's a little bit more attack minded than Seguin. But Joey Mueller for Thomas Ouwejan, I didn't get. I don't know if it was almost like throwing in the towel and say, hey, you know what? Let's just wrap up Thomas Ouwejan in a plastic bubble and let the youngster try. I mean, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think what the commentator suggested was that Ouwejan had picked up a yellow card, I think, inside like the first 20 minutes or so. And so because we had already gone down a man, that maybe they sacrificed Ouwejan because they didn't want to get like a second cheap yellow and then go down 2 men.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I agree. I think Mueller was poor. I don't think he helped us at all. I think he made us worse, probably. And obviously, not like at replacement level for Ouwejan in that sense. Cabadilla, he's on loan from Bayern Munich. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Youngster.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you can understand that from Bayern Munich's perspective. Give him a run in the second division, so he can get some minutes, see if he can make an impact. Lively to some extent, not particularly clean, a little wild, but at least popping up sometimes. So, I'm not thrilled with the performance there, but wouldn't mind getting another look at him at some point.
Well, as I mentioned, the second goal would eventually come by Kiel. They did keep going attack, and really number 18, the left back or left winger, is coming down the left wing side and really he sees a run coming from the back door by Machino, There's a bunch of Schalke players in between those two players. He goes for this cross low on the ground. It was perfectly weighted where it was just in front of the keeper, in front of Mueller, where he couldn't get it. But someone in the defense should have had it, and it went easily back to Machino, who just roofed it. Wonderful goal by him. But man, that was a poor goal to give up, especially because Holstein Kiel's been doing this all year long. It should have been like obvious. Hey, watch the backdoor runner, watch Machino. He does this thing, and the goal scored.
Yeah, left back. I think the winger's name is like a Rota or like Rotha or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from the ball that was played because, as you said, I think he played that in probably one of only two ways that you could even give your guy a chance to kind of get on that in the situation. Kind of kept it away from Mueller. Mueller could come out, but like he kept it away from Mueller and also kind of bent it all the way, in behind. But as you also said, even so, it should never reach, the Kiel player in that situation. There's multiple defenders in the way of that. Should have been able to get on it. I think it was Mueller, right, who just kind of got outfoxed ultimately with the movement. Kind of gets left for dead, and they score a second one. So, yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I think kind of two relatively poor goals, but mostly because of just the defensive play, and that was a theme, throughout the game. I think it's surprising that we didn't lose by more than 2 goals, given the fact, especially that we were a man down, because there were several other opportunities that were pretty sketchy from our defense. So, I mean, like I said, I don't know how much this is coaching at this point, or just the quality isn't there. I think it could be a combination of both. It's surprising because, of how positive I think we felt about Rice given the circumstances last season, that, against maybe a lower level of competition, despite, detriment to the squad in terms of personnel, that he'd be able to kind of pull something out of here. But yeah, we're really struggling so far. Not looking great.
And I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like after that goal, Baumgartel was yelling at Mueller for like, why didn't you come out more and get that intercept, that play? And I'm thinking, you can't talk like you've been poor all game long, and you should have been there and read the interception there. So like, something's not right.
Yeah. I mean, look, Mueller could have come out there, and he stayed a little bit deeper. He could have probably come out and grabbed that. That's true, but like, yeah, under the circumstances, I'm going to give Mueller the benefit of the doubt over anybody else, given how well he's played. And yeah, there's 2 other defenders that could have, or possibly should have made a play as well. So, at worst, I think Mueller has an equal share in the blame, and I don't even think that's necessarily the case.
And I'm going to make this point now, even though I want to make it at the end, but I'll probably forget it. I think the turning point for us lately, why we've gone on this downswing, and I know these games happen all the time. I'm talking about the friendlies, inter scrimmage friendlies, but against Braunschweig, we were okay. We won 3-1 in that DFB Pokal matchup. Then we played this inter squad friendly against the U23s, and they beat us bad, 4-2. I mean, Kiki Top dominated that game. And ever since then, or even in that game, we just have not been the same. And I get it. You're trying to get your players match fit, but I could see how that result against a team with a lot of people were in attendance at that game for the inter squad friendly. It just demoralizes the team. And you don't want to lose. You shouldn't be losing, but I think we were okay up until that point, and all of a sudden we just dropped off after that result, and it's just been like poor result after poor result. It seemed like 2-3 in a row now. I don't know. Maybe just me.
No, but it's an interesting shout. One question I did want to ask you is how do you feel about some of the comments that are coming out from Rice now in response to this? Because there's been some parallels being drawn, I think, on Twitter and elsewhere, or X, perhaps. No, I'm going to call it Twitter. Screw it.
Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't updated our graphic for that social media icon, and we're not going to. But yeah, I mean, there's been some comparisons drawn between the rhetoric of Thomas Rice and Wagner as things were going down the tubes a little bit. He's starting to just kind of like throw out a lot of weird things and blame the squad and blame everybody but himself, sort of, it seems like. So I don't know. I don't know if he's just trying to get a reaction out of people or just trying to get fired or like what the deal is, but it's not going well.
Yeah, after the game against the U23s, he was like, "Oh, this is Schalke. I haven't seen the Schalke in a while. It's like, they're playing like they played back before, where they're just terrible and got relegated." So he's absolutely putting the blame on the team. It's like, dude, what's going on here? Like, it's sure you're the coach. What the hell?
I mean, maybe this is. I thought I saw this online. I could be incorrect with this, but I thought he came out after this game and basically said something to the effect of like, we have to like play like men, kind of a thing.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, I didn't see that.
I could be wrong. Maybe that was a false like quote. But if that's true, it's like, I'm honestly like watching that game. What about that game gives me the impression that we have to like man up?
Yeah,
I didn't. I'm like, I don't know. Like, yeah, maybe they defend better, but like, I don't think it's a question of like commitment and like heart necessarily. I mean, maybe a little bit of focus, but like, you're the manager. You got to come up with something for them to do outside of just like being to play like men or like be men or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what you're hired for.
Yeah, exactly.
You give them like a tactical framework to try to be successful.
Well, we would after that goal, pretty much Holstein Kiel kind of just brought in the reserves. We got to see actually 2 Schalke players come on. Lewis Hopley, who we I almost forgot about, and then Timo Becker. We forgot about Timo Becker. He played as well, but really with nothing much going on the rest of the game. Had some opportunities, but ultimately the game.
Blendy Adrizi cameo.
Blendy Adrizi did come in, which I think his first appearance of the season. I think was it not?
So.
But yeah, 2-0, down a man at home. Terrible performance by us. The bright side is it's almost international break. And also we got Wiesbaden coming up, which they're a newly promoted team, but they've been doing well.
I mean, you would hope, but who knows? Especially with the confidence, the way it appears to be in the squad at the moment. I mean, look, we went down a man early in this game. I'm kind of writing this one off, which is maybe wishful thinking on my part. I'm kind of writing this one off and trying to take positives, which is Oye Drioga is a baller. I mean, his ability to ride challenges.
Yeah, he's strong for his
phenomenal.
age.
I mean, like so well balanced, like change of pace, like quick. Like I'm not saying he's the fastest overall, but like he's quickly like, take a quick step, quick like an early touch, that kind of stuff. He's really, really strong. I'm excited to see how much he can grow over the course of even this season. 17 years old and had some great moments. Had a shot, I think, in the second half where he beat somebody and it required a save from the goalkeeper to kind of keep it. That was on target towards the far post too. Like almost pulled us level, or at least pull us back in.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And I don't remember if it was this game or it was something I heard elsewhere, but maybe another game. But they reference a Real Madrid player. I'll just leave it at that. Similarities to Jude Bellingham, right? And how he had that ability and out of a midfielder as a young player, be able to ride off challenges and still create all this, offense from nothing, it seems like. And yeah, Ouedraogo's looks like the part. And if, he and Kiki Top can get this connection, if Terodde can get some goals, and if the freaking defense can stop something, we have a chance. But I mean, I'm with you. I'm willing to write this one off. But we got to figure something out because we're 3 points through 4 games. And the question I have for you, Jack, is, are we worse off than we were 2 years ago? 2 years ago, we were at 4 points after 4 games. And we were only like maybe 10th place at the time. We're now 3 points after 4 games and 15th place. Thoughts on, are we worse off now than we were then?
Yeah, last comment real quick. This is wishful thinking too, but it's like, can you imagine if we had like Churlinov on the right-hand side? With Oye Drioga, with the ball progression, beating people through the midfield, and then having Churlinov making like a late run, like off the shoulder. I mean, like wishful
Salazar.
Thinking, like anybody, that can actually partner him from the opposite side. But do I think we're worse off? I mean, I do, and I think this is kind of what I was talking about on some of our early pods early in the season when I was saying, look, do I ultimately expect us, given the squad in general, to be in the mix at the end of the season, like top 6? With potentially, the opportunity to string a couple of results together and be in a promotion playoff. Like, I think we'll kind of be at the right end of the table come the end of this season. But I think this squad is significantly worse than the squad that we had the last time we were in the second division. And I fully expected us to get off to a bad start. Did I think it was going to be quite this bad? Maybe not. But I'm not surprised that we've lost some games. We lost some games early on last time. There's still some squad overhaul. Rice has to figure out, exactly who he trusts and who he wants to work with. And I think we potentially still need some help. This could be a situation where we're trying to just kind of hold on and survive the first half of the season, basically not kill our chances entirely, and then see if we could somehow pull off some magic in the winter, bring in a couple key people, somebody on defense, somebody in attack, and then make a run for it. But I do think we're worse off than we were last time. And my confidence that we're going to win the league is like 0, and I think we'll probably be fortunate if we even get into a promotion playoff position. Like I said, my initial prediction was that we would be somewhere towards the right end of the table come the end of the season. Maybe not too far away from that, but like I don't know. I'm not overall shocked by how this has gone. I don't think our squad is as strong as people were expecting it to be early on.
Yeah, this was the debate in the Schalke America Discord channel. If you're not a member, you should definitely join. The link will be in the description. But it was, are we worse off now than we were then? And initially I was like, well, we're basically the same because we were 4 points then, 3 points now. And then I was like, well, we had Itakura, we had Tiao, and all these names, Bulter, and all these guys and playmakers, and like we don't have that right now, do we? Like outside of Ouedraogo, I mean, we're definitely, and Mueller is upgrading goal, but other than that, it's like we are not. This team is not as on par in terms of talent alone, and of course that talent prevailed at the end of that season, but. And it still could this season, but man, it doesn't look good. Something's got to change. It's a tactical change that has to happen, in my opinion. I think some better substitutions as well. Both have a common link, common denominator. But we got Wiesbaden coming up. They have 7 points, and they're 7th position at the moment. So they are better than us on the table. They're a newly promoted team, but as you expect from a newly promoted team, they are kind of playing in the defensive way, trying to not give too many goals because they're afraid of their defense. I assume they've had almost as many red cards as we had in our games. They've had 2 games out of the 4 that had red cards for them, and they haven't scored more than 1 goal in any game. So we get a couple goals, that might be it for them. But we have to get a couple goals. That's been our struggle as of late. So this is going to be an interesting game. It's going to be a chess match between the managers. See how this goes. It's going to be at Wiesbaden at 7 a.m. My time, 6 a.m. your time, Jack, on Saturday. I don't know what to think about this, but
I'm going to be in Denver on Saturday too. So forget 6 a.m. Might be even earlier potentially. I don't know what.
Oh man, yeah. Well, all right, right on. Well, I'm gonna try to do a watch along for this one. Just get the international break coming up and all. But what are your thoughts about coming into this game against Wiesbaden before the international break? We got a nice 2 weeks after that, 13 days after this.
Yeah, I mean, well, the language out of the Schalke camp is certainly just sort of like, doesn't matter what happens, we just have to find a way to pick up 3 points from this game.
Yes.
Could be the ugliest thing possible. We just need to get a result heading into the break so we can just kind of catch our breath, reset, and go from there. And I very much agree with that. I hope there's a little bit of a method to how we're going to potentially achieve that as opposed to just sort of willing it into being. But very important match early on. As you said, despite our relative positions in the table, if there was a game that you feel like could be like a get right game, so to speak, this might be one of those opponents. So hopefully we can find a way to take advantage.
I was going to ask you something, and I don't remember what it is now. So I mean, I brought this up in the podcast. So after the DFB Pokal match against Braunschweig, it wasn't a prettiest of games, but we won 3-1. It was fairly comfortable for the most part. And then we lost to Braunschweig on the turn on the bounce back 1-0. I made the argument that it's difficult to face the same opponent twice, especially within a week. And it's you're gonna have to try something different. If you're not playing well, they're gonna be able to read it. But I took that loss as more of we played them again. It's hard to beat the same opponent twice. I mean, what are your thoughts on how we went from a 3-1 win to a 1-0 loss in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I can see that argument. I mean, you would like to think that whatever coach is a little bit more clever potentially has the advantage in that situation in terms of being able to learn from the first match and apply it to the second match. I don't think it shouldn't. I mean, if you're gonna say like, oh, it's always tough to do that after you play them once, that logic should apply to us for them as well, right? I mean, like in theory.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, but it's frustrating. You would like to think that after we got a 3-1 result, I mean, once again, it's individual games of football. They can go either way. There's a lot of variance in soccer. I'm not trying to say that like one result necessarily is predictive of another one, but as nice as the DFB Pokal is, the league is the much more important, I think, target for us right now. So I think a lot of us would have liked to have those results flipped if possible, if it had to go one way or the other for across the 2 matches.
100%. One last thing before we get out of here. There was a bit of bright spot before this next game, and that is the signing of a new center back. I don't know if it's because we watching Bob Gardel and Kaminsky play. We're like, hey, we need some change here. But Thomas Kalash joins Schalke, formerly of Chelsea, Bristol City, and Fulham. He signs a contract until 24-25, end of that season. There's him with Heckelman. And he says some quotes here. It says, this is from Heckelman. It says, in signing Tomas, we have once again been able to strengthen our back line. We have been able to gain an experienced center back who will take on responsibility and be a leader on the pitch. He will continue to contribute to competition within the squad and help us improve. So we'll see. He's got some caps for the senior squad of the Czech Republic, 31 caps, looks like. Even played on the U17 level. But again, I guess for those who aren't aware of him, he did play for Vitesse Arnhem in the Eredivisie, and then also played for a little bit with Chelsea, Bristol City, and Fulham, most recently Bristol City. So thoughts on him? I mean, I'm not too familiar with him. I don't know if you are as well.
I mean, yeah, a player that I'm vaguely familiar with through his association with some of those English clubs that you mentioned. I mean, as the article says, they're an experienced player who had, some stints at decent levels of competition, throughout his career. So, maybe he can come in and do a job. Am I, putting all my eggs in the Thomas Couch basket? No, I'm not. But, we've been asking for some reinforcements. Hopefully this proves to be one that's actually impactful.
Yeah. I'm curious if he has any pace. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, like I said, next game will be against Wiesbaden this Saturday morning or midday for those in Germany. Early times for Jack and I, and then those on the West Coast. So yeah, it'll be an interesting game. But any shout outs outside of Eric and El Wafflo in the chat tonight?
No, that's all for me. Just hoping, like we said, hopefully we get a result here and head into the break in better spirits and not have this kind of the streak hanging over us at the moment. Agreed,
100%. Where can our followers find you on social media, Jack?
At JMMangan, JMMangan on Twitter, as we decided earlier on this podcast. Twitter is the name of that platform.
Twitter it is, and we are not going to change our logo. You can follow me at R_KHARMAN, but more importantly, you can follow Schalke America anywhere across social media. Whether you're watching on YouTube now or just go to the website, make sure you join Schalke America. Definitely subscribe, like our videos, comment. That would help the algorithm absolutely. If there's anything you want us to do videos on or do news on, let us know. Also join the Discord channel. Lots of good conversation going on there, but mostly about Schalke. But there are some other things we talk about too. Just life in general, making fun of our cousins too. That happens there too. So, but yeah. Anyway, let's get out of here. Not much to talk about. Not a fun pod to talk about. Never is when we lose, especially in the manner that we have lately. But we got Wiesbaden up ahead, and then we got international break. So let's leave it on a good note. And if you're around Saturday morning, want to join us for the game. Join us in the misery and the highs and the lows. So. For Jack, for myself, we'll catch you soon, and go Gav.